So some partnerships we have been developing for these last 2 years. This is something that's going to start probably this year. It's called the Consumer Goods Forum. It's a global partnership with many retailers, which has one single goal, which is to take deforestation out of the supply chain. So it's not a certification system, but it's a pact, it's a commitment from all of these companies, and we are trying to bring more companies to that. Another partnership WWF Brazil has with Banco do Brasil and with Banco do Brasil Foundation and the Brazilian Water Agency. It's called the Programa Águas Brasil. It has a focus on agriculture and also on cities. Talking about agriculture, we're going to maybe develop some new lines of credits that can support good agriculture practice and the best producers. And we're going to develop 14 pilots in some key regions of Brazil. One region is a key region for soy production in Mato Grosso, in the region of Sinop. And then we are identifying partners to do this work at that region. And then the next step will be to outreach these models of production throughout Brazil. Another interesting partnership we have, which arrives at field level, it's with Coca-Cola. So it has a focus also on water. It is spread all around the world. In the case of Brazil, it focuses sugarcane. So we are working with Coca-Cola and its suppliers towards Bom Sucro certification. Bom Sucro is the RTRS from the sugarcane. And we are also focusing water, carbon, and biodiversity. This one is Cargill partnership in Indonesia. WWF is going to help Cargill to assess the progress of RSPO among the suppliers. And that's another partnership with Rabobank. Daniela is not here, but I guess she could also say a few words about that. This partnership has just started. It focuses also international food and agriculture. We are in process of defining which will be the first countries, but the first countries will probably be West Africa. I don't know which country in West Africa, Chile and Australia. So we're going to focus first cocoa, aquaculture, and sugar. Probably next year we also start in Brazil and in China. So this is another slide which I think it's important, and Martina also highlighted this. I think we are, if we stick only to the left side, to supporting projects, but we don't create capacity in better markets and on payment for environmental service or condition to keep this ball rolling. Otherwise, if we focus only on the left, the project has only a short-term life. So we need to create condition for this cycle to be in the mid-term and the long term, so that producers can continue using the practice, but with a support from the market. So I think that's key. So why does WWF support these multi-stakeholder initiatives, such as RTRS? Why don't we work with bilateral or unilateral certification schemes, which are most of the times much easier to implement? WWF can say, oh, I want this and that, and then we have a standard. But why do we choose to work with that, with a multi-stakeholder process? Because we think it's a democratic and participative process. That's the big difference. It may take longer, it may take 4, 5, 6 years, but I think it's the only way to validate through society and to hear everybody. We have constraints, we have different opinions, but at least this is discussed, this is tackled through the whole process. So these are some initiatives we support. Okay, so now reaching the end, I would like to talk a little bit about why is RTRS so important for us, and for civil society in general. We think that RTRS can have a great impact regarding reduction of the water footprint, either through the agrochemicals management, fertilizers management, and also through vegetation recovery. RTRS has an interesting approach also for the responsible social issues. I see RTRS also as an opportunity for producers. And I think one key point from RTRS is the criteria for expansion. I think RTRS reached a good way to still allow responsible conversion, but with a solid conservation approach. So I think that's the differential of RTRS. One is the short term and one is the mid-term. So for the short term we mean until end of next year, producers have some options if they want to convert native vegetation. So it's not a zero deforestation criteria, as someone said. So we have to follow this short-term approach. But what I really think is interesting is the differentiation of RTRS, is this process that we are creating, which is called RTRS mapping system. So it's an integration of the priority areas for conservation approach, which Giovanna said, and HCVA. So in the 2009 criteria, which was called the field criteria, we were considering only HCVA. So imagine you are a small producer and you want to deforest 10 hectares in a region that is already a consolidated region. In order to deforest that 10 hectares, you had to do a HCVA, according to the 2009 principle and criteria. So with that in mind, and also talking to some other former members, such as Abiovi and AproSoja, we said, we cannot demand HCVA, we cannot ask for small producers that want to deforest small parts to do a HCVA analysis. We need first to have a macro map, a global map, which identifies which areas are more critical, which areas are less critical. And then we canalize the HCVA work to smaller parts of these maps. And that's how the situation is today. So the process is much more logical. We identify firstly the category 1, which are areas that are very much so these areas should not be converted to responsible soil. Then we go to category 2. These are really the areas that are critical, but still allows some expansion, and it needs the HCVA. And then we go to the other 2 areas that are okay with the legislation. So we understand that this concept is very good, and we need to communicate this to producers so that they participate on this process. So I think now it's the moment where we talk to the companies, we talk to producers, so that these producers are on the process and we make this map together. That's the idea. Okay, so I think that's this. Thank you.